I've got this chubby, lazy kid who just can't be persuaded to exercise. So every day when I get back from work, instead of asking him to exercise, I ask him to join me for a walk around the block and tell me about his day. By the time we've circled the block and are about to head inside, he almost always says, "Let's keep walking." And we end up walking for 20 or 30 minutes because once he's active and has his sneakers on, it feels natural to keep going. That is the power of starting tiny. Most people struggle to start a new habit, but it doesn't have to be hard. Stanford PhD BJ Fogg cracked the code on how to create life-changing habits that really stick. We'll go through the main takeaways of his book, Tiny Habits. Make sure to stick around until the end of the video where I go through step-by-step how I am personally using this book to improve my own life. Takeaway 1. It's not your fault. I am not exercising enough. I am gaining weight. Shame on me. I kept telling myself all the ways I was failing, but I did not make any changes in my life. There's a gap between what we want and what we actually do, and often we blame ourselves for it. But here's the truth. It's neither your fault nor the chubby kid's fault. It's the way we've been taught to approach change. It's a behavior design issue, not a personal one. The secret is to make change feel good, and you will learn exactly how to design your habits to do so in the next takeaways. Takeaway 2. Tiny is mighty. You should never try to read a book a month. That's a dumb idea. You won't stick to it. Instead, tell the lazy kid inside you, let's read only 2 pages together before sleep. He might not be too excited, but hey, it's just 2 pages. And what often happens is, 2 pages in, you're hooked and want to continue reading for 20 minutes. See, I'm naturally lazy, but clever. Instead of changing my diet drastically or doing intense gym sessions, I start by adding just 2 vegetables to my dinner and doing 1 push-up before lunch. Starting small is the only consistent and sustainable way to achieve significant growth. Small changes lead to big transformations. Takeaway 3. New habits need 3 things to kick off: motivation, your want to, ability, your can do, and a prompt, your reminder. You've been thinking about getting fit. That's your motivation. You take a look at your fat belly and your untrained legs. Maybe a 1-hour run is too much, but running for 5 minutes daily feels doable. That's recognizing your ability. Then you set an alarm on your phone to run after work. That is your prompt. Without any of these, wanting to get fit, the easy start, or the reminder nudge, you will not get moving. In the next takeaway, you will learn to play around with these elements to make forming new habits easier. Takeaway 4. Rescuing your dog Pickles from a burning house is something very hard to do. But because your motivation is sky high, you would not hesitate to run into the fire. To explain the relation between motivation and ability, we use a chart featuring the action line. This line shows that if a task is too hard, then you need a high level of motivation to rise above the action line and complete the task, similar to rescuing your dog from the fire. On the other side, if a task is easy to do, you don't need much motivation to rise above the action line and complete a task. Brushing your teeth in the morning, for example, is easy enough that you don't need much motivation to get it done. In other words, we only take action above the action curve. Takeaway 5. Motivation is like that party animal friend. Great for a night out, but not the one you'd trust to pick you up from the airport. People usually get it all wrong and set crazy goals when they are riding high on motivation. Out of thin air, they want to become runners and say, my new habit will be to run 1 hour every day. Then, after a bad day at work, they think, I have to run for 1 hour. And their body's like, yeah, right, leading them straight to the fridge for a beer and then to the TV. Motivation can sometimes propel us to great heights, but it will bail just when we need it most. Motivation is just not reliable. That's why we make habits tiny, so that we don't depend much on motivation. As you progress and grow stronger, your ability will also increase, making the task even easier to do and reducing your need for motivation even more. This gradual shift is the key to building lasting habits. Takeaway 6. To build successful habits, you follow this simple 3-step formula. 1. Find an anchor moment as your prompt. Use everyday moments that already fit nicely into your routine, like the moment after you put on your shoes, or after you take a morning shower, or before sipping your first coffee. These anchors act as reliable reminders for your tiny habit. 2. Make behaviors tiny. Choose actions so small you can do them in less than 30 seconds, such as doing 2 push-ups after flushing the toilet. You might be tempted to start big and join that CrossFit club, but don't forget, we are aiming for consistency, not perfection. Finally, step 3 is the most important. 3. Celebrate your tiny accomplishments. Immediately celebrate your success, however feels natural to you. It can be as simple as looking in the mirror and saying, "Good job," or saying, "Victory," or you can enjoy your favorite song. Positive feelings create and reinforce habits. Once the habit is embedded into your routine, you can skip the celebration part. Takeaway 7. The recipe for tiny habits is, after I anchor, I will new habit, then I will celebrate. For example, after I flush the toilet, I will do 2 push-ups. Then I will look in the mirror and say, "I nailed it!" After I pull the car over, I will write down the most important task of the day and then play my favorite song. After I put my head on the pillow, I will think of one thing I am grateful for. For years, I've struggled to exercise consistently, so I decided to try applying this fresh knowledge. I aimed for 20 push-ups daily, but after a few days, I found myself slipping. To ease into this habit, I asked myself, what makes doing 20 push-ups so hard? Can I make it easier? Yes, push-ups require a lot of physical effort, especially since I have not exercised much in the past 10 years. I realized that my ability to do 20 push-ups was very low, leading me to rely solely on motivation. However, when I shifted my goal to just 1 knee push-up, suddenly I wasn't dependent on my motivation levels to start. Now I was set up for consistency, not just that occasional success. My ability to perform steadily increased. This growing strength and skill made the habit progressively easier, reinforcing my success and, in turn, actually boosting my motivation. On days when I'm extra motivated, I now do normal push-ups as a bonus. Most days, I find myself doing more than 20 push-ups. That's the power of tiny habits. Building habits is like growing a tree. You start with a tiny seed, take small steps, care for them, and nourish them with small wins. Over time, they'll grow strong. By starting small, making your habit a natural part of your routine, and positively reinforcing it right away, you're setting your habit up to become a deeply rooted part of your life. What do you think? Please leave a comment.